what is this? All this goo on here. Anyways, we're gonna get into that. We need to have a little chat about retouching varnish, okay? This is the Winsor & Newton Artist Retouching Varnish for oil paintings. I have used this product for a couple of months now, both after a painting is fully completed, on top of that, before the final varnish, and then also most recently with this piece next to me, I have experimented using this in between rendering layers of the painting. And I would like to come on here today, share my initial impressions, and now my final honest thoughts about this product, if I would use it again, and if so, which situations I would use it in and which ones I wouldn't. If you're new here and you haven't seen my face before, hello, my name is Lauren. I am a self-taught artist, working mostly with oil paints, but also acrylic paints and oil pastels. And yeah, if you're interested in joining me on my artistic journey and learning with me, mostly from my mistakes, then consider subscribing and sticking around for more fascinating videos like this one. So let's talk through this. Okay, so I'm new to showing my art on social media. I started my art account on Instagram, I think at the end of January of this year, and I discovered Retouching Varnish through Instagram. I saw it, I wanted to try it, and I did, and right away, you know, there's an immediate visual effect. It immediately visually improves the painting, especially when it comes to darker values that maybe have sunken in to the painting, and you get that difference in finish almost, like the darker values that sink in look a little bit matte. Yeah, retouching varnish is absolutely perfect for that, and I loved that I could post videos of me retouching, varnishing my paintings, and you get that immediate like, wow, it looks so much better. And actually I just realized like 30 minutes ago, that was not the reason that I first tried it, but it was definitely one of the reasons I continued using it and would use it so eagerly, you know, because of social media. This is something that I've reflected on with regards to my practice in the past, on a past video, but you know, overall, social media, art, that combo has been very positive for me and very inspiring and motivating, but there's a sense of impatience that has crept into my practice as I continue to, you know, try to build my Instagram account for my art. And I think my use of retouching varnish is very reflective of that. It looks good and it looks good fast. You don't have to wait the 6 months to a year that you normally would to do a final varnish on an oil painting for you to have that eye-catching video. You know, you see people doing the varnish pours on their painting, which, don't worry, I know that's bad. I don't do that, but it looks good, and that's the problem. I mean, there are lots of practices in the online art community, I guess, that I think are reflective of this, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about retouching varnish, not final varnish. So that was kind of my motivations for trying it out and for continuing to use it. And of course I did want to protect my paintings. I have quite a few paintings in storage back in Germany right now that I used retouching varnish on before I left. So I will post a video updating how that went in about a month or two when I'm back to see how they kept in storage. Let's talk more about this painting here, my most recent finished painting. I used a canvas that was not properly primed. It was just a pre-wrapped canvas from Michael's, which is a local art supply store here in the States. And I didn't properly prime my canvas at all, then just went on ahead and started painting. And I quickly noticed that, you know, because of the darker values on this piece, I started to notice certain areas sinking in a lot more than others. And that's pretty normal, it's happened to me before. And what's the normal response to that? Oiling out in areas that you plan on working on. Yeah, I mean, that's what I did with the door painting. I just oiled out in certain sections that I plan to work on in that day's sitting. And that worked totally fine. With this piece, however, I thought it would be a good idea if I used the retouching varnish all over, because I had been hyper-focused on working on some of these details in the piece. Maybe I can do a little zoom in, a little zoom. Woo! You know, it's very detailed and I had a lot of fun painting those, but I also found myself losing sight of the overall relations of the values together. So with so many of those darker values sinking in, I thought, okay, retouching varnish is the perfect solution here. It'll bring back those darker values and I can get a better picture of the overall piece, but also it looked really good on camera and I could take a really good video of it. Well, not really good, it was okay, it wasn't amazing. Anyways, it kind of motivated me to continue painting, and that brings me to my next problem. It does say on Winsor & Newton's website that you can paint over this. My experience painting over the dry retouching varnish was very interesting. It was good in areas that just required a little bit extra detail, a little bit extra, you know, adjusting here and there. But in areas where I was completely overhauling what I had done before, like the background, it wasn't good, you know? It kind of had the consistency of, let's say you were wanting to paint your nails, but like you put a little bit of lotion on your nail first, and then you try to paint over it with nail polish, and it's kind of like, it's kind of goopy and like, you know, that's not the best example because obviously the retouching varnish was dry and it did dry, but it just kind of, something was weird there. I don't know how to describe it. I feel like if I properly primed my canvases before I start painting, this wouldn't be so much of a problem. Just oiling out in the areas I wanted to work on for the day, that would be enough, and I wouldn't get to a point where so many of the values are sunken in that I feel the need to completely coat the painting in retouching varnish. If I had one key takeaway for myself, and maybe you also, if you feel like you can learn something here, prime your canvases properly. Just do it. It'll make the painting look better in the long run. Yeah, so long story short, will I do this again? Will I use retouching varnish again? Yes and no. On the one hand, I do think it is a really useful tool if, for example, you're someone who works on commission for painting, you just finish a commission piece, and you want to get it to the buyer before waiting the 6 to 12 months to properly varnish it, and you want to make sure it's protected. I think that would be a great option. Another thing that I almost forgot to mention is one situation in which I would definitely, without a doubt, use retouching varnish again, and that is if I have completed a painting and there's a lot of interest in fine art prints of that painting. I will definitely use this before I scan my painting for the printmaking process. I did this with my door painting. It was about a month out after finishing that painting, and there was a lot of interest in prints, and so I took it off the frame, I scanned the whole thing, and made a composite image for the prints. And it just didn't look right. The darker values had really sunken in. I just wasn't happy with it. It did not do the original painting justice at all. And that is when I discovered retouching varnish. And so I gave it a try on that painting, and then I completely started over with the printmaking process and rescanned the entire painting and made a new composite image. And right off the bat, it was a night and day difference. It made a world of difference. It actually looked like the painting. Those darker values, it really brought them back to life. And I think if I hadn't used retouching varnish before that second scan, then the whole print launch thing would have been a disaster. I wouldn't have felt comfortable selling prints of that first composite image without the retouching varnish because it just looked so dull. Like it didn't capture the painting well at all. So if any of you out there are making prints of a painting and you haven't done the final varnish, but you want to make the print sooner, then I would definitely give it a try because it was really a lifesaver for me. Will I use it again for finished oil paintings that I want to protect before doing the final varnish? I'm going to try to stay away from it for a while and try to return back to the more patient, meditative vibe of oil painting practice. Will I use it again in between layers of a painting? No, I don't think I'll do this again. Oiling out is fine. Oiling out is a perfect solution to this problem. I think with this piece, the layers of goo have accumulated and now it's very sticky. It's very sticky. And I did something else really stupid. And I don't know the reason for why it's dumb, scientifically speaking, but I just know that it was a bad idea. I may have put some oil, I may have oiled it out a little bit. You know, just oiled it up before the big show. And why did I do that? Because even after using the retouching varnish, eventually I still got that same effect of the sinking in. And actually, I feel like it made it look a lot more patchy than it would have if I didn't use it. I can't prove that because I did use it. I haven't done any research on whether you can oil out over retouching varnish. In my experience, no. I mean, you can, but it's questionable. It gets gooey and it gets sticky, and I wouldn't do it again. Okay, another huge reason that I just remembered looking at this, why I will not use retouching varnish in between layers again, is because if you painted something that you want to undo, maybe you take a clean brush with some odorless mineral spirits. Well, be careful because it'll take this off as well, and then it's gonna look weird. I don't know why that surprised me, but it did. Yeah, you can kind of see in some areas, like here, I didn't like the color I signed it in, so I took it off, and then realized, oh, it just took off the layer of the green background, and now I can see the blue background. So if you want to use odorless mineral spirits to remove some paint from your painting, but you've already used this, I would discourage you from doing so. I don't hate this product. I think it's a good product in certain scenarios. Again, if I ever do commissions, I can definitely see myself using this, depending on, of course, how the paintings look in storage that I used it on. But it just doesn't seem to, I don't know, it just doesn't seem to dry down like I expected it would. I don't know, it just kind of makes me nervous. Yeah, so those are my honest thoughts on using retouching varnish, both when the painting is finished and then also in between rendering layers. If you have any experience using retouching varnish or any advice, any thoughts on the topic, feel free to share them in the comments. And yeah, I hope everyone is having a super cool day and that this video was helpful in some way. Bye.